of Arundequoit, November 17th, 2020. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Executive Order 202, which permits virtual public meetings during the COVID-19 public health crisis. All virtual participants are invited to join me in rising to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilwoman Freeman.
Present.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Hey.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Sealy.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
And I think Romeo's here as well.
I got him.
Okay. Not Councilwoman Romeo, but also the other Romeos and John Perticone's puppy dog. So nice to see everyone. Sorry we're back in this form, but the business of the people does carry on. And thank God technology allows us to be able to do this. I'm just going to note we have 3 public hearings tonight, and we make every effort to ensure that the public hearings afford people the opportunity to testify. And that's an imperfect process during COVID, but we want to make sure if people have testimony they want to get on the record, they can. So if you are in the waiting room or watching this virtually, our public hearings start at 7:35. If you're watching on iCat or Facebook and wish to participate in the public hearing, there is a link on our town's website to allow you to log into that. There's also a phone number for you to call. For the people who already are registered on the Zoom call that we're on, if when we get to the public hearing you wish to participate, you can either use the raise your hand function in the Zoom app, or if you're on via phone, you can hit *9. If you have difficulty doing that, please let us know in the chat, and we will facilitate getting you on to testify for the relevant public hearing. We'll be very clear which public hearing we're on. The first one will be regarding the Consolidated Sewer District along Bay Shore. The second one will be regarding amending Chapter 235 of the Arundequoit Town Code. And the third will be a hearing left open regarding rezoning a portion of 2590 Culver Road, R1 Residential to C Business District. We'll start those at 7:35. We will start our meeting and get through some other agenda items before that, but begin our public hearings promptly at 7:35. With that, I will kick it over to we did not receive any written public input to supervisor.org. We did receive some written public comment on one of the public hearings, which I will read into the record when the public hearing starts. And with that, I can ask our comptroller to deliver the financial report.
Thank you. The 2020 financial results as of October 31st. With 83% of the year elapsed, the town's total expenses, actual expenditures, and encumbrances total $26,917,000 and are lower than budget at 73%. Actual expenses are $25,431,000 or 68.9% of budget, while encumbrances are $1,486,000 or 4% of budget. Typically, encumbrances are still sizable at this point of the year as departments continue to commit to services and supplies and commodities that will be needed for the remainder of the year. The general fund total expenses of $15,736,000 are below budget at 71.5%. The actual expenditures total $14,965,000 or 68% of budget, and encumbrances are $770,000, 3.5% of budget. Overall, the total expenses of the 3 highway funds are $4,211,000 or 77.1% of budget, below the 83% of the year that has elapsed. Actual expenditures are $3,697,000 or 67.7% of budget, and encumbrances total $515,000 or 9.3% of budget. The costs continue to be driven by considerable expenses and encumbrances for fuel, road salt, equipment parts, and road paving. The current library expenditures are $2,056,000 or 75.8% of budget. Expenses in the sewer fund of $3,121,000 are below budget at 74.4%. Actual expenditures are $3,015,000, 71.9% of budget, and encumbrances are $105,000, 2.5% of budget. Stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 68.3% of budget, a total of $855,000. Actual expenditures total $814,000, 65% of budget, and includes a Vector truck. Encumbrances total $41,000. Again, this month, expenses excluding encumbrances for the town, as well as the three major funds, are less than the 83% of the year that has elapsed. The actual expenditures percentage exclusive of encumbrances for the town is 73%. The general fund is 68%. The sewer is 71.9%, and the collective highway funds is 67.7%. The general fund has received revenue of $15,928,000 or 73.3% of budget. Real estate tax of $11,185,000 has been collected. 101% of payment in lieu of tax revenue of $257,000 is in. The town has reported 5 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $1,604,000 or 31% of budget. Per capita state aid of $613,000 is scheduled for payment in December, and mortgage tax for the first quarter of $249,000 has been received. Recreation program fees of $186,000 are unfavorable to budget at 56%. Other sources of revenue are on par with the budget at 81.4%. Regarding the entire town, $29,219,000 or 80.9% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been received to date. Approximately $17.5 million is from real estate tax. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of $2,593,000, 95.9% of budget. 84.6% or $4,598,000 of revenue has been received by the highway. 100% of the sewer fund revenue or $4,155,000 is in. Stormwater drainage has also verified 101% of its budgeted revenue of $849,000. This concludes the financial report for the month of October 2020.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Do any board members have any questions or comments on the financial report? We're slowly monitoring sales tax, and right now we're on par with about a 5% reduction, 4 or 5% reduction over last year, which is much better than we initially had forecasted when this all started. Seems to be kind of going up and down each month. And in September, we were substantially above 2019. Past month, we're considerably below. So we continue to track that, but certainly some of the corrections we've made mid-year will allow us to account for that loss in sales tax revenue. And later in this meeting, we will be accepting a $658,000 reimbursement from the county for COVID-related expenses, much of which will be used to build in that lost sales tax revenue. So thank you, Diana. And this is tracking favorably, and we appreciate your hard work. I will take a motion to accept the financial report.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Romeo is opposed.
He's opposed.
Romeo the dog. That's hilarious.
Approval
Report
of
is
minutes,
accepted. Approval of minutes.
October 13th, 2020, the workshop meeting.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second. Thank you.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved.
October 19, 2020, the budget workshop meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
A second.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Romeo the dog opposed again. The minutes are
October
approved.
20,
Go ahead.
October 20, 2020, the regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Perticone. Mr. Perticone made the motion, Ms. Romeo, the council member is seconded. Any questions, comments, or revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
October 27, 2020, the budget workshop meeting.
Motion to approve
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo. Any questions, comments, or revisions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved.
October 27, 2020, the special town board meeting.
Motion to approve
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Any questions, comments, or revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, before we move on to appointments, agenda item 4, I just want to, we've got some new people join as attendees. Just so you know, if you're here waiting to testify at one of our 3 public hearings, they will begin at 7:35 pursuant to our town code. If you do wish to testify when your particular public hearing comes up, I will make sure I'm clear which public hearing we are on. You can use the raise your hand function, or if you're joining via phone, dial *9. If you're having difficulty doing that, you can feel free to just let it be known in the chat that you wish to participate in the public hearing as a witness, and we will let you in that regard. So make sure we will make sure we are doing everything we can to afford people the opportunity to speak at the public hearing in this virtual setting. With that, Madam Clerk, we can go to agenda item number 4 under appointments.
Okay. Agenda item number 4, approving the permanent appointment of a part-time school traffic guard in the Arundecoy Police Department.
A motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief Laird, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This applicant, Andrea Dayton, has gone through the background process with the Arundecoy Police Department. She would be hired as a part-time school crossing guard as a substitute throughout the school year. We've had a couple of retirements recently due to some health concerns of other crossing guards, so this would be filling those vacancies.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Chief on this resolution? And I will note for the members of our public tuning in, our crossing guards are in full force right now. You can see them on the roads as each day school districts do have children going to and from school. So we're very happy to see them out again, keeping our children safe. With that, I'll call the roll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, authorizing the hiring of a police officer recruit.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is currently to fill a vacancy of one of the police officers that we had due to retirement. This candidate, Michael Kelly, is a town resident. He has gone through the complete civil service process, including a background investigation, and comes recommended not only by the background investigator, but civil service, which has approved the process. He would be, if this does pass, he would be attending the academy starting December 2nd, and then would be out on the road doing field training in June of 2021.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Laird on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, authorizing the hiring of a police officer recruit.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This would be another candidate that would be going to the police academy. starting on December 2nd, filling a vacancy that is currently within the police department. This candidate, Heidi Zimmer, currently does work for the police department as a booking clerk, and she also has gone through the whole process through civil service and comes recommended not only through the civil service process, but as well as the background investigator. Ms. Zimmer is a town resident as well.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Nay.
Ms. Freeman in the negative. The resolution is adopted 4-1.
Item number 7, approving the transfer of a police officer to the Arundecoy Police Department.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This candidate is a police officer that would be transferring here from Troy, New York. He is moving to the area relocation with his family. He comes with approximately 8 years of experience in law enforcement, has gone through the background process and comes highly recommended from the background investigator, as well as being the transfer has been approved by Monroe County Civil Service.
Very good. This is a transfer. And how many weeks of field training, Chief, do we expect?
We'd be looking at a 12-week training process.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, approving the promotion of a laborer to a maintenance mechanic 2 in the sanitation department of the Public Works.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before the board this evening is to fill a position within the Department of Public Works created via a retirement. This promotion opportunity was posted pursuant to our collective bargaining agreement with SEA blue collar employees. After posting this position, we had one applicant. That applicant, Stephen Cagnina, interviewed for this position of Maintenance Mechanic 2 within the Sanitation Division of the Department of Public Works. Mr. Cagnina has worked for us for several years, and prior to his roughly 4-year stint with the town, he served extensively in County Department of Environmental Services, working on pumps and pump stations at Van Leer. He becomes highly qualified, and I highly and strongly recommend him, as well as the interview committee, for promotion to the position of Maintenance Mechanic 2 within the Department of Public Works.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions on the resolution? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 9, authorizing the adoption of the 2021 Arundecoy Zoning Board of Appeals meeting schedule.
Motion
Moved.
and second.
Second. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Protocol. As the explanation explains, no need to go into further detail. This would adopt the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting schedule. The board members have the schedule as an appendix to the resolution. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, authorizing the adoption of the 2021 Arundecoy Planning Board workshop and meeting schedule.
May I have a motion
Moved.
in a second?
Second.
Thank you. This would adopt the 2021 Arundecoy Planning Board workshop and meeting schedule. The schedule is affixed as an appendix to the resolution. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, authorizing the adoption of the 2021 Arundecoy Conservation Board meeting schedule.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, reapproving an application on the matter of rezoning 2590 and 2662 Culver Road from R1 residential to R5 residential.
Can I have a motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, an explanation, please.
Hi there. This is a resolution to ensure that the local law, it conforms with the requirements, which means that it should have been attached to the resolution that was adopted last month and circulated via email 10 days prior to the vote. So to ensure compliance with the regulations associated with adopting a local law, we circulated the draft local law via email 11 days ago before this meeting and attached it to the resolution. And so just a quick do-over.
Thank you. And this was a local law of zoning, rezoning that was approved at our previous month's meeting. We always just might like to make sure that we are completely following town code and the requirements set thereof. And this would, I believe, retract the vote from October 20th and enter in anew for the record the board's approval of the rezone. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement for CARES Act distribution.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. I'll take this, Diane, and you can fill in any gaps or correct any inaccuracies. Under the CARES Act, the Federal CARES Act, which the town has already received several $100,000 through our community development block grant money. Money was also provided to various counties throughout America. Monroe County has used their sizable appropriation to deal with the COVID response. They also are allowed to reimburse other local governments for COVID-related expenses. Several weeks ago, the county executive notified local governments saying that if we were to submit for reimbursement, the county within its ability would reimburse towns and villages and cities for COVID-related expenses. The town was very diligent right from the start in tracking COVID-related expenses. We submitted to the county a very detailed, thorough documentation of the expenses that were necessary to address and manage the public health crisis. As a result, the county has informed us that they're able to reimburse us for $658,000 with the COVID reimbursement. As I said earlier, much of this will be used to ensure that their loss of sales tax revenue is made whole. And that's good that we won't have to drop from fund balance to close our books out at the end of the year. In December, I also will be submitting to the board a capital spending plan that will allow us to make some equipment and other capital purchases with this money, some that we deferred in the 2021 budget, which we will presumably adopt next week and will allow us to move forward with those. So at the end of the day, this helps, fill some revenue gaps, but also allow us to make some prudent, responsible equipment purchases. And I'm grateful to Ms. Marsh, Jason Bennett, Maria Vecchio, Bob Kiley, and all the department heads for doing a very good job to account for this money and ensure that what we were submitting to the county was well informed and also really had a good level of detail and documentation with it. So happy to submit this resolution and ask for its support. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, approving the 2021 holiday schedule for all town employees.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Vanette's absence, I'll just explain. Our blue and white collar units determine which holidays they wish to take off every year. That does change year to year. Just because the holiday is not on the list doesn't mean the town doesn't recognize it. This only correlates with which days that our blue and white collar units elect to take off Correspondingly, it's been town practice that town offices are not open on those days, and thus such are town holidays as well. So I just want to make that clear for the record. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, renewing electrical services for the town of Arundecoit facilities.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Over the last several years, over the last 1 year, the town has held a contract with Kaplan Schmidt Electric for electrical services for town facilities. This term contract was awarded on February 22nd of 2019. Pursuant to that resolution, we have the ability to extend for 1 year term the service contract for Kaplan Schmidt. We would call upon Kaplan Schmidt intermediately through the year for any electrical jobs that would take place, be it at town hall, the police department, the library, etc. And so the resolution in question would extend that contract for a 1 year term. There is no rate change for this 1 year term.
Thanks. And this has worked out nicely. I think it remedied a problem or a critical issue we had, and I think I recommend its continuation. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 16, calling for a public hearing amending the Arundecoit Community Development Block Grant Annual Plan for the 2018-19 program year.
Thank you. Motion to adopt
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would call a public hearing to be held at next month's regularly scheduled town board meeting. The purpose of this public hearing would be to reallocate, revise the CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program plan for the fiscal year of 18 to 19 to allow the unused funds within a certain specific program, the Turnaround Playground program, in which the town acquired a piece of property that was either a zombie home or a vacant piece of property, and constructed a playground on said property in an area where there was no neighborhood or community playground. Again, the intent now would be to reallocate the remaining funds, which are a little over $20,000, to allow the town to utilize those funds on other various playgrounds for improvements, given that those playgrounds are located within a CDBG eligible zone.
Thank you, Commissioner. And it's common for us if we exhaust funds or allocate funds and don't necessarily use them all, as was the case with this. We want to make sure that we are reappropriating them to something worthwhile. And the board will work with our Department of Public Works to identify a suitable reallocation of those funds to something that best serves the town interest. And I'll note they have to be within a community development block grant census zone. So there's targeted areas that we can invest those dollars. Any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, authorizing an interfund transfer from the Drainage Fund balance to Capital Project Fund 366.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Earlier this year, we had a catastrophic failure on Hellendale Road where a manhole had collapsed, posing a danger and imminent threat to motorists traveling on Hellendale. The residents in that neighborhood well know the urgent closure that lasted for approximately 6 weeks as we rebuilt and dug down nearly 30 feet, bringing in shoring from as far away as Michigan. These types of projects are very difficult mid-year to plan for. Of course, we have contingency funds and funds within our fund balance to ensure that if something does arise, we have adequate resources to deal with it and make it safe. Of the over $250,000 cost associated with the repair on that road, we look to seek to allocate $25,141.71 from the drainage fund balance. The delta, the remaining funds of just over 225,000, excuse me, come from existing CIPs. Thus, the resolution would move $25,141.74 to CIP 366 to make whole that capital improvement program account.
Thanks. I'll just add, there's classic examples of why you carry adequate fund balance. It's for the unforeseen. This was something that was unforeseen. I'm grateful we had the resources to deal with it. We didn't have to do any emergency borrowing. We had adequate reserves and capital dollars. So, this was a sizable expenditure. This is what, probably 2-3 miles of roadway we could have paid with the dollars, but sometimes that which is underneath our feet is that what we take for granted, but it is aging. At times in the past, it was stitched together in an imperfect way. And I'm just glad that we were able to get out in front of this before something terrible happened, because I live near that road. I travel on that road often, and it was getting very alarming. So Deputy Commissioner McGee, job well done. Commissioner Kiley, I'm glad we were able to get this done. And again, this is why we carry fund balance in an appropriate manner to deal with emergencies like this as they come. Any further questions from the board? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a supplemental agreement for snow and ice removal on New York State roadways.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the supervisor to execute the supplemental agreement with New York State for the removal of snow on Empire Boulevard, the only state highway located within the town of the town maintains in the sense of snow and ice. The town does not maintain that roadway via potholes or anything else, but it is just for the clearing and salting of that road. This agreement authorizes the supplemental increase of $2,626.01 due to the amount of services provided to that roadway over the last 3 years. This is a 3-year average, so it's going to fluctuate year to year. This should be the last supplemental moving forward. However, I can't quite state there may be more services rendered this year, depending on the snow and ice season. We will come back and request another supplemental from New York State to be compensated for the work, maintenance work, again, snow and ice only, performed on that roadway.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 19, approving a sanitary sewer agreement at Bay Village Estates condominium.
Thank you. Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Commissioner or Deputy Commissioner McGee,
Yep, this is me.
explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. With the ready funded project to upgrade the Bay Village pump station next year, the new design and landscape requires the easement to be changed to accommodate the new footprint as well as the new force main installation. This would authorize the agreement with the Bay Village condominium owners who are informed and fully on board with this project.
Thank you. And the copy of the easement is attached to the resolution. Do any board members have any questions or comments on the resolution?
Just to thank you to Deputy Commissioner McGee for her hard work on this.
Good job. Very good.
Thank you.
She could write a book on sewer extensions, creations, and sanitary easements. Baptism by fire. Thank you, Aaron. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we can sneak in the last two before the public hearings.
Okay, item 20, authorizing surety form an amount of official undertaking for the faithful performance of the duties of the town clerk and receiver of taxes and assessments.
Motion to approve.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
So long story short, this is to protect us against the evil town clerk if she ever wants to turn evil. It would hold harmless the taxpayers in quite. I'm sure my town attorney is wincing as I explain that, but that's basically it in a nutshell. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
And item 21, approving the 2021 workshop regular town board and organization meeting dates.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Resolution self-explanatory. You have the meeting dates in the resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Okay, Madam Clerk, we can now call up the first public hearing.
Okay, public hearing number 11 PH 2020-2 on the matter of ordering the extension of the consolidated sewer district to homes along Bay Shore Boulevard.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
There are at least 3 ayes, none in the opposition. The hearing is now open. Either Commissioner Kiley or Deputy Commissioner McGee, can I have an explanation as to the purpose of this public hearing and what the subsequent resolution would do?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This public hearing is for the consideration of the town board to extend the consolidated sewer district to include the 30 homes along Bay Shore Boulevard that are currently on private septic systems. In response to the Lake Ontario high water levels in recent years, New York State has awarded a project to install a sanitary sewer main, laterals, and grinder pump to remove these homes' dependency on septic systems. During high water events, septic systems become inundated with lake water and do not function properly to treat wastewater from each home. The cost share of this project is very advantageous, as 95% of the $1.8 million project is to be paid by for the state of New York. The 5% balance will be paid from the town sewer fund, and the homeowners will pay back the funds to the sewer district over time. The intent of this project is to protect the long-term values of the homes that will no longer be susceptible to high water events. And further, nutrients entering Irondequoit Bay from each septic system will be mitigated. With the approval of the district extension, the construction of the project will take place in the spring of 2021. And each homeowner is solely responsible to abandon their current on-site septic system, as well as connect and run electric to the grinder pump from each resident.
Thank you. Just a few questions for clarification. The homeowners would repay the 5% cost share, correct?
Correct.
And we also have another ready project that's being done concurrently. That's correct. The pump station is that. Could you just explain that a little bit in the synergy?
So the other ready pump station upgrades are the Bay Village pump station, as well as Seabreeze and Point Pleasant. So those projects, the town is bearing upon the 5% cost, but in this project, the homeowners would be taking on that 5%.
Okay. And I just note this is subject to permissive referendum if adopted subsequently by the board with the authorizing resolution, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Any questions for Deputy Commissioner McGee? Okay, hearing none, if any of the online participants wish to participate in this particular public hearing, I would ask you to raise your hand, or if you're listening via phone, simply hit *9. If you're having trouble doing that, can you just comment in the chat, and we will authorize you to talk. So I don't see anyone with their hand raised right now. Oh, I did see one person. Okay, Emma? Emma, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Emma. So do me a favor, just actually, you know what? I'm going to promote the panelist. I'm going to promote you to panelist. You should be on now. You can enable your video if you want. So just do me a favor, Emma, and say your name and address for the record.
Yes, I am Emma Marie Rose from 8 Weston Ridge, Penfield.
Okay.
And, may I ask if I could get a summary of the situation?
So you're asking about the the purpose of this public hearing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll do my best to explain. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll either let Commissioner Kylie or Deputy Commissioner McGee provide an explanation. I will say that first and foremost, this is a project commissioned under the state's READY initiative, which is to deal with continuously high waters along Lake Ontario and the feeding waterfronts, including Arundequoit Bay and the Genesee River. The state is funding projects, 95% of which is borne by the state, 5% is borne by the locality to provide resiliency. That takes on a lot of forms. In this case, a sanitary sewer line is proposed to be installed by the creation of a sanitary sewer district. The houses along Bayshore Boulevard are on septic, which has constituted a public health threat to the Arundequoit Bay, given the continuously high waters. As such, a sanitary sewer extension is proposed to create a main on Bayshore Boulevard by which the residents can connect. So correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron or Bob, this would extend the town's consolidated sewer district to approximately 30 homes on Bayshore Boulevard and allow them to connect to the town's consolidated sewer district. Aaron or Bob, feel free to add anything that you might want to.
I think I'll join and jump in here, Supervisor Sealy. The public hearing, and Aaron is really the point of contact here for really the discussions with each and individual homeowner. But process-wise, when we move through, and council can correct me if I'm wrong, when we move through a sanitary sewer district extension, there are two ways in which sanitary sewer districts can be created. One is that the homeowners petition the town to install and create a sanitary sewer district extension within a specific neighborhood. Petition goes from home to home, garnering interest and signatures. The second is where the town board would order an area to be included within the sanitary sewer district. And in this case, it's the latter, where because of the advantageous fiscal situation and because the town put forth this project to the READY Commission and was luckily enough to be funded at 95 cents to the dollar on a $1.8 million project, the town board moves through a process of 202B in town law, which really spells out how legally the board moves through the establishment of a district. So first, we call the public hearing, which was done last month. There's a certain time period where people have notice. As Deputy Commissioner McGee can attest, we distributed information to each homeowner with regard to the costs of the connections, with regard to this meeting tonight to make sure that their voices can be heard to the town board. The town board can weigh that and consider that within their decision-making process. And then after this public hearing, the town board will take an action either to approve the extension or to deny the extension. If it's approved, there's a waiting period in which 30 days, as the supervisor relayed, permissive referendum is a chance for homeowners, if they were extremely adamant and against the actions the town board takes, that they could put forth a vote by garnering enough signatures where there would be a vote amongst those 30 homes. So a little process there on the legality, council. Hopefully I've nailed that. Having done this a couple of times here with Turtle Rock Lane on the fly several years back, you certainly get a crash course. But that's the process-wise of why we're here today, why we're having a meeting, why we hold a public meeting, why we have people with hands raised to discuss and either say that they're in favor or against this action. So hopefully that provides some clarity as the supervisor kind of articulated a little bit of the project and the intent and whys.
Sure, and Emma, thank you for joining us tonight. I understand you're an Eagle Scout candidate.
I am doing a requirement that will get me to Eagle.
Nice. So thank you for the question. And this is sometimes before government wants to do something, they have to make sure that they're going through an appropriate process. So we have public hearings and allow people to ask questions or have comments or testify. So you've actually been helpful because you've asked us to expand upon perhaps a little bit more of the process. And I think some of the other people participating tonight might have some questions about this. So if anything, you've asked us to expand upon our definition of this. So I do appreciate you for asking the question. Do you have any other questions for the board?
Not yet, but if I do, I'll let you know.
All right, I'm gonna remove you as a panelist and put you back as an attendee. If you have other questions, just raise your hand, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Now, how do we do this? Okay, I'm gonna next permit Tracy. Tracy, can you hear me? You might need to unmute yourself. Okay.
Hi.
Tracy, can you just say your name and address for the record, please?
Actually, this is Pam Aiello,
Oh, Pam, okay. And your address?
1208 Bayshore Boulevard.
Very good. Good evening.
Hi. I just had one quick question. This pumping station, what is the, do you know what the longevity of these pumping stations are in an area like this?
Are you referencing the grinder pump?
Yes.
Typically 15 years, but we've heard other people that, you know, they're 20 years and going strong, haven't replaced it. But, you know, we're kind of gauging the median to be about 15 years.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any further questions, Tracy?
No.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Joe Prestiacum. He can clarify his name. Sorry, Joe, about that. I'm going to allow you to talk, Joe.
Yes, okay. Joe Prestigiacomo, 1372 Bayshore Boulevard. I've been talking with Aaron since this project got underway. Just a couple questions. When the engineers first came down to look at the site, Greg Bly was the engineer that was on site. He had told me that more than likely they would bring the sewer line down by the water and pump up towards Bay. What changed that now they're going to pump up at every house?
Aaron or Robert, would you like to answer that question? I think that's a fair question posed. Do we have a response for that at this time, or is there something we can submit after the meeting?
That would be something I would have to check with our engineering term, but for the longest time that you know, we've been talking, it's been the intention that it would go in the road.
Yeah, and Joe, I guess I'll chime in here too, sir. It's a good question. Just for clarity purposes, there are two independent projects that are happening, but they're happening very close together. As you heard tonight during the board meeting, there's the Bay Village pump station and then the Bayshore Boulevard sanitary sewer extension. And so the pump station is ultimately where all of the waste will go from Bayshore Boulevard. That'll go to the Bay Village pump station, which we are also renovating. That is not, there is no interaction with regard to the district extension in that project. That's an independent project, also funded through READY, but totally funded by the town. Now, for each home on Bayshore Boulevard, due to the grades, as you well know, and I think all the folks they're living on Bayshore, the grades are such that it's so deep that the grinder pump at each home would be necessary to grind the waste, and then with a low pressure sewer, really shoot it up the hill all the way down to the new pump station at Bay Village. So it would be at each home, there would be a grinder pump, if you will, at that location. I'm not sure if I've answered your question or created more questions, but I certainly wanted to provide that clarity. Hopefully that's
No, I understand that, but my question is, wouldn't it make more sense instead of pumping up? My house is one of the lower elevations on the street. Wouldn't it make sense to pump along the water, pump down, and then just pump up once instead of taking a chance. I mean, I'm just talking about all the people. As my house, as you go down south on Bay Shore, the elevations get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, as you know. Those grinders are going to break down a lot sooner than those pumps are going to break down a lot sooner than mine would. Let's put it that way, because it's going to be the usage possibly, and how much the maximum they shoot is approximately, the maximum is about 500 feet. So what I'm saying is it would make a lot more sense. I think, I don't know if there are any other reasons why they decided against it. I'm just curious. I'm not questioning you. I'm just saying it just makes more sense to me if right from my house, you just pump all the way down, you just run the sewer lines all the way down along the water. You don't tear up the street. You don't, you're not tearing up driveways. You're not replacing concrete. You're not replacing asphalt. And you go all the way down to Bay Village, the last house, then you pump up you connect to the sewer. I don't understand why that isn't a possibility. That's all. That's why I was questioning it.
No, it's a good question, sir. And public hearings typically don't interact in this fashion, but this is it's good conversation. But I will say that the question is very meritful in the sense that it would be easier to run it gradation wise, right? The elevation of the road is 20, 30 feet in some areas. Whereas if you went along the edge of the water, there would be a potential for better, easier grades. Long-term maintenance, of course, is a concern that it's right up on the water. And then if we do have flooding events, now the main is underwater. So if anything catastrophic could or did occur, now we're right back to the situation we were prior to, where all the sanitary septic systems are underwater. 1, 2, the concern that we would have to then interact in a takings proceeding, we would have to get an easement on each individual home to put a main. Then we would need to get equipment down there in 40 or 50 years to potentially rip that whole main out, replace that whole main. Whereas if it's in the street, the laterals are an easier, if you will, access point, because they can just be bored underground, as opposed to the main, which is typically, it can be bored, but an open trench for the connections is highly likely. So for those two reasons, in my mind, that would be really the catalyst to put it in the road, up and away from the water's edge to ensure its permanence. And then we would have maintenance over that long term. I can't attest to the grinder pump degradation through time via the vertical footage that it would shoot uphill. We could certainly look into that, but folks should know that if in 15 years the grinder pump that is going to be installed fails, and you are now unable to really use any sanitary facilities in your home, you would be able to call the Department of Public Works at 336-6090 at any time of day, 24/7, 365, and we will have a grinder pump for you to install into your lateral to ensure that you can stay in your home while a plumber comes in and replaces it. So it's a program that we've had for many years. It's a program that's sanctioned by DEC to ensure that, one, we don't have untreated waste impacting our local waterways, but two, that we can ensure that if a homeowner gives us a call that has a grinder pump and we have that in stock on the shelf, it would be an immediate loan. It's a loan program that we run and manage to ensure that you can stay in home during that uncertain and troubled time.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Erin's been great through this whole thing. She had told me the same thing. She's been on top of her game. And just one more question, then I'm off. Septic removal. What's the time frame for that for each one of us? once, let's just say it goes in beginning of the spring and it's done by the end of summer, how much time do we have to get rid of our septic? Now, what is that entailed? And what time frame do we have, and what type of permits are we going to need?
Sure, we can work with the building department on that. It's gonna be some coordination between us and the building department, but I would, you know, it's very important to us that people abandon their septic tanks properly. So,
Right.
you know, that's more important to me, I think, than a lot, you know, so it's a timing, you know, we can work on that. Let's get the project in the ground and make
Okay.
sure that grinder pumps are working, and then we can, sure,
Yeah, that's-
me and Carrie, we can work through that.
Yeah,
Should the board adopt this, what I would ask of our Public Works Department, our Building Department, would be to provide guidance for the residents of those properties and promulgate that. I'm sure they already have it in the works, but we would want to be proactive with that. So that's an answer more to the staff, and I'm sure they're already thinking of that, but we will be proactive in making sure people know the appropriate guidelines for abandoning their septic system.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Aaron, thanks again for everything you did. You made it a lot easier for me to understand. And good
Thanks,
luck.
Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up is actually a phone number, so I'm gonna allow you to talk. It's the 721 number. Just make sure you say your name and address for the record, if you will. And you're on and unmuted if you want.
Hi, Dave. This is Lisa and Jack Barron. How are you?
Oh, how are you, sir?
We are totally in support of this project, and the environmental benefits are enormous, and they're also twofold. You know, it eliminates the septics that pose a threat to the water quality of the bay, but it also opens up the opportunity for homeowners like ourselves to eliminate the use of propane and to move over to clean natural gas, because we would like to coordinate with RG&E to run a gas line down our driveway while the hole that you all are going to dig is open. So I've talked to Aaron about this possibility, and I wanted to alert council to the opportunity that this presents, you know, environmentally to other homeowners.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And can you just say your address on Bay Shore for the record, Lisa and Jack, just so our wonderful clerk.
Our address is 1458 Bay Shore Boulevard.
Thank you for that. Do you have anything else to add for the record?
I just had a quick question while you were talking about grinder pumps. So when our grinder pump finally fails, we would be responsible for replacing it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
What the commissioner was saying is, because now we're clarifying what type of model grinder pump you would need. If it failed, the Department of Public Works would have a one ready to install, so there would be continuity of service while you were able to get a replacement grinder pump. That's a new policy we adopted to standardize the model. So it helps us to ensure that when we come down there, we can plug one right. I'm sure it's not as easy as plugging one right in, but ensure there's as much continuity of sewer service as possible.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Got it. Thank you for your work.
Good
Appreciate
evening. Next up is Jill Traver, who's been waiting patiently. Jill, I'm going to allow you to talk. You should be up and ready.
Mute. Hello, Jim and Jill Traver at 1328 Bay Shore.
Good evening.
Hi, how are y'all?
Hello.
Thank you for providing this opportunity for us. We appreciate that. We just had a quick question relative to what Aaron had, who we agree Aaron is wonderful to work with. We've talked to her a few times, but we were just wondering relative to what she had said, how is it, and maybe this isn't the right form, but how is it decided that certain areas, are responsible for their percentage. And you said that other areas like Seabreeze District weren't. I'm just curious about that.
I can probably answer this, and I'll ask if I fail, have our town attorney or Bob or Aaron fill in. When we extend the consolidated sewer district and add homes, the consolidated sewer district, the sewer lines, we're adding homes pursuant to state law. We're by extending that, permitting properties to homeowners to opt into that. In doing so, the homeowners bear the cost of the construction and the installation of the main. Generally, if you're financing that, in most cases, the homeowners are responsible for 100% and repaying that over 30 years. So Orland Road, for instance, is one of our most recent ones. They're still repaying theirs over 30 years, and it's pretty considerable. The Ready project is great because the state is paying 95% of it. The homeowners are only bearing 5%. Now I'll get to your question. The sewer pumps serve a more general vicinity of the town. They service the whole stormwater and sanitary sewer system, not particular homes. As such, the entire sewer district is responsible for bearing the cost of the installation. We have 29 pump stations throughout town, Bob?
Close, 27.
27. So we replace them through time. It's more of a evenly distributed service throughout town. So as we replace them, the entire sewer district of the town of Arundequoit is responsible, or the stormwater district, Bob? The entire townwide stormwater district is sanitary, thank you, is responsible for that cost. So that's how it differs. I don't know if Andrew, Bob, or Aaron have anything to add. I probably butchered that, but it's just how it's allocated directly, I would say.
Correct. So if you're within the consolidated sewer district, which these homes on Bay Shore are not. So currently, if you pull out the last tax bill that you have, you do not have a sanitary sewer charge associated with that because you bear that cost when you move forward with getting your septic system pumped out or replacing your septic system. For those that are within the consolidated sewer district, they pay a fee, and that fee provides the ability for sanitary sewer employees within the Department of Public Works to respond in case you have any blockages within your lateral or your main. We would come out, flush them out, eel them out, rod them out. We maintain the pump stations associated, as the supervisor was articulating. So in general, the consolidated sewer district has that specificness to the properties within the consolidated sewer district. This extension would include now the 30 homes on Bay Shore. I know Supervisor Sealy mentioned the stormwater drainage district. That is all properties within the town, which is specific to stormwater related discharges. So when it rains, the runoff that goes off the road, those types of things.
And the simpler, easy answer to that is we're following state law, which prescribes this. That's the simpler reason. But I think we probably poorly just articulated perhaps why that state law exists, as it's allocated to the people you opting into the district.
All right, we're good.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I don't have anything to add to that. You and Bob covered it. Town Law Article 12A says that upon establishing an extension of a sewer district, the cost of the extension shall be imposed against the benefited area. So we're extending it to 30 homes here. They pay the cost of the extension. Fortunately, Commissioner Kiley and Deputy Commissioner McGee secured a pretty large grant to pay most of the cost, 95% of it, and the other 5% is borne by the benefited area.
Any further questions from the Travers? I don't see him. Okay.
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. And we have Mark with his hand up, or perhaps her hand up, depending who's on the line. Mark, I'm going to allow you to talk. Can you just give your name and address, please? Mark? Mark should be able to talk. Mark, are you there? Okay, Mark had his hand up, but I don't know if he's there. So unfortunately, I will. I don't think we have anyone else signed up to talk. Once again, Mark, are you there? Okay. So thank you for all the questions and comments. A very productive public hearing, just as I explained, it's supposed to go. And Emma, thank you for triggering that. We appreciate it. And I think we have some other Eagle Scouts or Scouts listening in as part of their citizenship merit badge requirements. So welcome, and feel free to chime in. You know how to use Zoom better than we do. So by all means, with that, I will, unless the board has any further questions for staff, I will take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, item 2A, please.
Ordering the extension of the consolidated sewer district to homes along Bayshore Boulevard.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. You know, this was spelled out pretty clearly in the public hearing, as Ms. McGee explained. We've gone through a lengthy process of extending this consolidated sewer district to approximately 30 homes along Bayshore Boulevard. And I want to thank Deputy Commissioner McGee, Commissioner Kiley, Mr. Dean, our town attorney. This is not easy to do. It's a multi-pronged process. It's a lot easier when you're having the state pick up 95% of it. So I want to thank Governor Cuomo and our state legislative delegation for their support of this, as well as all the requisite agencies. And I think this is a good deal for our homeowners, good for the environment, good for public health, and will go a long way towards making us more resilient and allowing us to enjoy residential access to the Bayside. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Public hearing number 3 on the matter of adopting a local law amending Chapter 235, Article 4 of the Town of Arundecoit Town Code.
Thank you. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Ivers for an explanation, but first, this is the public hearing dealing with amending Chapter 235 of the Arundecoit Town Code, particularly those provisions regarding R1 designations. If people in our participating as attendees wish to comment on this public hearing, or if Ms. Ivers' explanation might entice you to participate, you can do so by raising your hand, or if you're on phone, by hitting #9. Ms. Ivers, an explanation, please. Ms. Ivers, you are muted.
Thank you. So the proposed amendments to Article 4, which governs allowed uses and bulk regulations related to residential zoning. So R1, R2, R3, and RR. That's our single family, primarily single family zoning district. At a high level, the amendments will allow for conditional uses that could be permitted with a special use permit issued by this board, the town board. It would expand it would clarify and modify things related to the setback requirements and streamlines home occupation regulations. It additionally clarifies and streamlines accessory structure regulations about what's allowed, where it's allowed. And then it also helps to better define sort of private garages, and it just in general cleans things up so that the chapter is a little bit easier to read and understand what's allowed and where. and I can continue chatting. I'm not sure if the board has any other questions about that's just it in a nutshell.
You're muted, Dave.
Any questions from the board? Sorry, I was refilling my water. I'm parched here. It's drafty up here in the second floor of Town Hall. Before we see if any members of the public wish to participate, any questions for Ms. Ivers? And I will note the board will not be making any taking up any motion to adopt the proposed amendments to local law 235 tonight. At the very earliest we would do that would be next month. I think we still have to review some feedback received from various stakeholders, and we'll reserve the right to make amendments to the proposed changes. So no board action tonight. I don't see any hands raised from any attendees. I'll give it about another minute. Again, raise your hand if you wish to testify in this public hearing or have questions. We generally don't have to take questions, but we like them, so we're always happy to answer them. Okay. I will take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the hearing is now closed, and we can move on to public hearing number 3, which actually is kept open. So Madam Clerk, please call the public hearing.
Okay. On the matter of rezoning a portion of 2590 Culver Road from R1 residential to C business district.
Okay, so this public hearing is open. What I will do is, Carrie, I'm going to ask you just for some new information we've received. I know someone from the applicant is on and ready to answer questions if need be. He's made his presence known. But Carrie, why don't you just give an overview of what's changed since the last time we discussed this in the public hearing?
Thank you. The primary area of concern or the issue that needed to be addressed before the board could move forward with a decision was related to traffic generation at the site in consideration of the proposed gas station with convenience and a self-serve car wash. Since the last time this board has met, the applicant submitted its detailed traffic analysis to the county Department of Transportation. That information was reviewed, and the recommendation for a traffic light was recommended by the applicant's traffic engineer. Monroe County DOT has since responded to the town and the applicants indicating that they concur with the applicant's traffic engineering analysis, and they have indicated they can approve the installation of a traffic signal at the location specified by the applicant. So this would create a 4-way intersection with Culver Road being north-south, and then Brookdale to the west, and the new entrance drive to this site, which would provide a shared access point between the garage to the gas station, and then also the previously approved rezoning location for the housing development. So a traffic signal will be located and serve both potential uses. The Providence housing site didn't require a traffic light to be able to meet the traffic demand of the project. The gas station was a different story. It would not have been able to work at this location if the traffic signal could not be approved.
Thanks, Carrie. And you know, we received an extensive traffic impacts study, and the conclusion of this was from a traffic impact standpoint, the development was feasible only if the traffic signal was installed. That was the condition that was made clear, and that was something laid forth by the applicant and asked of the county to remedy. It's not our road, so we made that request of the county, or asked for their opinion, basically, as to what they wanted. We really didn't opine any preference in it, just as if a traffic light would be a suitable addition. And they have since said, yes, it would be suitable. Carrie, is state DOT engaged in any of this, just given their proximity?
So the state was in receipt of the analysis and the communication, and were included in the communication with the county. However, they've since indicated that they have no issues or comments, and they had no further action to take related to this application.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Carrie. Any questions for Ms. Ivers?
Well, Carrie, I'd like a couple of questions. I want to lead into this, why we talk about this. When I read the analysis, right? And I know that probably the site plan has changed. The analysis says, it says a single access point, correct? For the traffic light?
So the single, meaning a single access drive.
Drive.
The access drive would service both the gas station and then the proposed housing development.
Now,
That's on a-
it's come to my attention now, there's something, with the site and the planning board that Hulda may be another access for both these projects. Does that affect this analysis at all if there's another access point to the project other than Culver Road?
I can't 100% say for sure if that would be the case. However, that would be something that the planning board would have to address. This is not being done as a coordinated review for the purposes of seeker. And so if there is an issue, if right now we don't have a formal site plan, they prepared a site plan to go with the rezoning application. However, when they make formal site plan application to the planning board, if any changes are proposed as far as access to and from the site, that would be evaluated through the seeker process. And it also would be evaluated by Monroe County DOT again through the site plan review process. So the rezoning is something that is subject to the Monroe County DOT review and approval because they are the permitting agency. That would continue at the site plan level as well. So their acknowledgement and agreement with the light doesn't mean that they've stopped looking at this project site. Each application for site plan will be before Monroe County DOT.
Because, it's been brought to my attention that that's a high probability that they're going to use Hulda for these two projects. Now, if that goes forward, if it does, what about a traffic analysis for Whitlock and Hulda in that area there? Would that trigger another traffic study? Because I'm thinking if all three of these projects are going to exit and enter on Hulda, you're going to have quite a bit of traffic there.
So certainly the planning board would have an opportunity. Monroe County DOT might have a request for information related to that. That would be something that Monroe County DOT would potentially ask the applicant to look at. Again, we don't have a formal site plan before the planning board. But if they were proposing vehicular access through Hulda, then that's something the planning board could also request of the applicant.
Because, when we rezone this, I'm considering just the one access on Culver Road. So obviously we don't know if the access is going to change because we don't know, you know what I mean? But I'm just figuring if all three projects enter and exit on Hulda, it's going to really be a considerable amount of traffic over there. That's all.
And John, it's point taken. And remember, when we're rezoning, we're effectively changing town law and amending the map. We can't, and I think we asked of the applicant of their willingness to have that access road off Culver. We can't redraw the map just to be contingent on access off Culver, and that's part of the process, right? We know what the applicant is willing to do. I don't think we can condition our rezoning on a particular access point. I think we might have preference. If board members want to express that preference to members of the planning board, they're free to do so. Of what conditions?
That's what I'm basically getting at. My preference would be leave Hulda to the senior project in the back. I mean, I just think it's going to be a lot of traffic going up and down. And not only that, I don't know if all these projects are going to all overlap one another, but it'll be a considerable amount of construction traffic over a 2 or 3 year period as well too. So It's just my 2 cents I'm putting in there.
Yeah, and
Mr. Super,
go ahead, Ms. Romeo.
I was just going to ask you, Mr. Supervisor, if there were specific concerns about some of site plan issues, is there an opportunity for board members to separately address the planning board, since it's really not in the purview of what we're looking at tonight?
Yeah. My gut would say yes. I think we would need. I would say yes. I think you're always as an elected official, you can always clarify the context under which you voted for a rezone. I don't know if the board can take formal action because we simply are.
I don't think so.
Something to discuss, and that's we can discuss as a board. But I think if board members want to let it be known what their preference is under the context of which they approved the rezone, which thereby permitted the planning board to even review the project. Of course, you're able to do so. I think the planning board looks at things like complete neighborhoods, et cetera. But certainly the town board is the first point of contact for the rezone. And I think you have every right to let the context under which you considered a rezone, which does amend the map, to be considered. And I think and I always want to let people be able to express those opinions as elected officials, just as the planning board is able to express opinions to us. The stream works both ways.
Well, like I said, Dave, I just think that the site plan is probably a little farther along than it normally would be on a rezone. So we kind of got an idea maybe which way they're going. That's all.
Okay.
And listen, this is probably the first time that, I've ever really commented on anything like this. That's all. It's just that I know the project's a little farther along now. So we're able to just give our opinion. That's all.
Okay.
I will say, I think the first time that the back parcel was rezoned, that we did express some concerns about connecting this property to Culver and not through the residential neighborhood. And I'm going to assume that through the planning process that the neighbors, expressed their concerns and they were listened to also, or maybe their concerns were alleviated. But I do believe that that was a concern of ours when we rezoned the first time, and it's a continuing and ongoing concern, I think, of this board, at least of my opinion, solely, I guess, at this point, that we connect to Culver, this project, and not to Hulda.
And you're elected officials, you're allowed to let those views be known, and collectively, if it's not I don't think it's a majority vote. Not that if there was a majority, I don't think we can take formal board action. We can't condition the rezone on and bind the planning board. I don't think, and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can do that. I think our job is to simply redraw the map, correct?
That's right, Mr. Supervisor. And I would only add that when you're talking about a secret analysis, the town board's role for this action is to identify the areas of relevant environmental concern and determine whether there's any significant environmental impact. So, the question is, does rezoning this parcel from one category to the next create a significant environmental impact? And that's for you to answer. And traffic concerns are one thing that can be considered, but you have to determine whether there's a significant impact on the environment.
And just for the record, too, and I understand if there is a potential for connectivity of this. This is the westernmost parcel. There is concern about connectivity of the gas station to Hulda. That's just for the record, because again, this is a interesting process. We've done in effect 3 different rezones because it's a phased development with 3 different proposed
Like
uses.
I said, we know, Dave.
Mr. Supervisor, I just wanted to thank Andrew for that point of clarity. I think that was very important for all of us, including those watching, to hear. Thank you, Andrew.
John, did you have thank you, Ms. Freeman.
I was just going to say that if there is going to be access over on Hulda for all the projects, my opinion is that's going to be the main entrance. That's my opinion. I don't think people are going to come off of Culver. I think they'll come off of Hulda. So in retrospect, I think the town's going to have to reconsider. That's a small little road over there. So there's going to have to be other considerations, I think, if that's going to be the main entrance and exit. That's all.
So, Mr. Supervisor, perhaps another discussion for another day, and it might need to take place at the planning board, is if there are some concerns about that access road and about how that is connected to the existing neighborhood. If connectivity was an important issue, perhaps there could be connectivity through pedestrian pathways or bicycle pathways, or something other than vehicular traffic. If there's, but again, that's a conversation for another place at another time.
Yeah, understood. And yes, you're right, Ms. Romeo. It is, the planning board has certain purview, we have certain purview, and I understand Councilmember Weiner and Perticone's point. Certainly when we rezone things, it's done under a certain context. It doesn't bind the project because, you know, it can change, it can evolve. So the point is taken. At this point, we are at the point we have, I will now, if we're ready to close public hearing, we still have seeker and the rezone to consider. So if there are not for any further questions, I don't have any residents with their hands raised. They've gotten to see the board enter and have a nice dialogue, which is good public discourse. Stop smirking, John. Bring Romeo back.
Yeah, I know it. I'll let him vote. Hang on.
I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, you can call up item 3A, please.
Resolution concerning State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance in the matter of rezoning a portion of 2590 Culver Road from R1 residential to C business district.
Thank you. A motion to approve?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, an explanation of one of your seeker masterpieces.
You all received part 2 and part 3 and the expanded narrative that goes along with the seeker analysis for this project. For the viewing members at home and those that are participating in the meeting right now with us via Zoom, I'll just say that we looked at a couple of key areas with respect to the rezoning of this property, potential impacts to land use and community character, the allowance of a gas station on a primary corridor that already has 2 or 3 other gas stations in relative close proximity to this site is not going to change the character of the road or the area. So that's a non-issue from an environmental impact perspective. On impacts to land, this will result in the alteration of 2 acres of plus or minus 2 acres of land. However, because of the area of disturbance, a stormwater pollution prevention plan will be required. That'll help govern and manage erosion and other issues related to land management while under construction. It will also ensure that the site effectively handles stormwater pre, during, and post construction as well, which will help minimize potential impacts. It's our understanding that the project site will be looking to the neighboring property to have some joint access for stormwater retention and other strategies that are going to be required to keep and manage stormwater. The traffic was the biggest issue. Obviously, the site required the installation of a traffic light in order for it to be viable at this location, given the traffic that's generated to and from a gas station. However, based on the analysis and the Monroe County DOT's acceptance and agreement with the light at the proposed location, the mitigation is the traffic light and the turn signal that's being proposed as part of this project. So we can say that although there's a potentially large impact, mitigation is being proposed by Monroe County's acceptance of a traffic signal at this location. Based on that analysis, this unlisted action, we would recommend a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Ivers? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. None in opposition. The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, item 3B.
Item number 3B, approving an application on the matter of rezoning a portion of 2590 Culver Road from R1 residential to C business district.
Thank you. A motion to adopt.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. This would again rezone a portion of 2590 Culver Road, the westernmost portion from R1 residential to C business. The applicant is a Quickly's convenience store with a gas station and car wash affixed to the development. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Okay, the resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for the evening. Board members, don't go too far because we have a special town board meeting to adopt our 2021 budget on Thursday, November 19th, 4 p.m. That will be done via Zoom. The next workshop meeting will be Tuesday, December 8th, 2020 at 4 p.m. No determination whether that be virtual or in person. If it isn't in person, it'll be in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. The next regular town board meeting is Tuesday, December 15th, 2020, 7 p.m., either via Zoom or at Town Hall. We will notify the public accordingly. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, gang. And thank you for our scouts watching. Have a good night.
Good night, all.